A woman deliberately splashed herself with cola, soaking her clothes completely. Then, in broad daylight, she changed her clothes at the back of the car. Little did she know, this move would successfully catch the attention of a charming young man, for a woman who has been divorced for years. This was a thrilling moment. Plus, the guy was incredibly handsome, exuding elegance in every move. When he found out her car had broken down, Jack even offered to help fix it. No sooner had he suggested this than he took off his shirt to get to work, leaving a somewhat shy Jane blushing. Jack was everything she had been looking for in a partner. He had blonde hair, blue eyes, and a six-pack that shone in the sunlight, not to mention his great sense of humor. Just a few words were enough to make Jane's heart bloom with joy. Though she kept a safe distance, her glances towards Jack were filled with sincerity. Stealing looks at him now and then, as they got to know each other, they gradually became more familiar. It turns out, Jack and his father used to cycle here every year. Even though his father had passed away 3 years ago, he never gave up on the sport. However, this time his bike broke down on the road, so he had to walk to the next town. With a bit of tinkering, Jack managed to get the pickup truck started, much to their delight. Before parting ways, Jack remained a perfect gentleman. He didn't ask for a ride or any of Jane's belongings, allowing her to drive away. But the more he did so, the more Jane liked him. A filial son who can fix cars and has a muscular physique, what girl could resist? Thinking this over, Jane stopped the car. She knew a man like this was hard to find and not seizing the moment would be a crime against the heavens. Seeing the car stop, Jack smiled, without saying it outright. They understood each other. You fix my car, and I'll take you to the next town. It seemed like a reasonable explanation, but it was just an excuse to exchange phone numbers for future contact. Little did Jane know, this act would bring disaster upon her. To ease the awkwardness, Jack immediately turned on the music as he got in the car. The tipsy sunlight combined with the beautiful melody made them look like a couple on a road trip. However, the good times didn't last long. As they drove into a secluded road, Jack's gentlemanly demeanor vanished, and his mouth was filled with foul language. Jane then remembered the saying, a man's mouth, a liar's ghost. It seemed Jack's earlier behavior was all an act. In an attempt to escape this nightmare, Jane immediately stopped the car and asked him to leave, but Jack didn't leave. Instead, he took control of Jane, who tried to flee, and then pulled out a giant toy in front of her.
I didn't force you to stop. You pulled over and invited me in.
To survive, Jane had no choice but to follow Jack's orders and start the car again. When they reached a winding mountain road, Jane saw her chance. Noticing Jack hadn't buckled his seatbelt, she waited for a sharp turn to make her move. When she woke up 2 hours later, the car was completely overturned, with its roof touching the ground. Looking around, she couldn't find Jack. Just as Jane was about to unbuckle her seatbelt and leave, tragedy struck. The crash had trapped her leg in a crevice, making it impossible to move. Realizing her situation, Jane quickly tore her clothes into strips to bandage her wounds. After doing this, Jack reappeared. It turned out he hadn't gone to meet his maker in the accident. He was just severely injured, with multiple fractures and a head injury. Seeing Jane's predicament, he didn't do anything excessive but simply left the crash site, leaving Jane screaming in panic inside the car. As night fell, she tried to kick open the car door, but with a tree trunk supporting it outside, her attempts were doomed to fail. Jane's ordeal wasn't just about physical pain. The temperature difference between day and night in the jungle was huge, and her thin clothes couldn't keep her warm. So, she had to put on her jacket and turn on the car heater to fend off the cold. To prevent wild animal attacks, she didn't forget to turn on the car lights before sleeping. Thus, she spent a night shivering with hunger and cold. By the next day, things seemed even worse.